Hello, everyone, and welcome to our webinar, BIAMI.io in action. My name is Marcin Kierdelewicz, and I'm the founder of the project. Now, let's have a look at how BIAMI is built so you can better understand how it works. The major part of the software is something what we call a BIAMI core. BIAMI core is responsible for managing all the automation tasks and commands that you're gonna run on your platform. On a file system, you will also see a temp folder that is responsible for storing any temporary files that you need to create during automation processes. Now, part of the core, there is an embedded database that has 5 major elements in it. There is a script which is a catalog of all the available plugins, automation plugins that you have in your system. The task stores information about automation tasks and processes that you're gonna run and execute on your systems. Request is handling all the information about requests for the automation tasks and processes. Logs is just to store log information about the execution process, and the context is a part of the database that helps you with storing information about parameters within your automation processes and the values for those parameters. Now, on a file system, you will also see a plugin folder. Plugin folder is a part that stores all the necessary automation plugins that you are using within your automation processes. We have almost 100 different plugins at the moment, and almost every day we create new plugins so you can actually extend the functionality of your automation with new plugins all the time. Now, those elements is something what we called a BIAMI dev software. This is a software that you can actually download for free at biami.io/download, and you can use it for design and testing purposes of your automation processes. Now, once you want to go into a production, we have an additional software that helps you run BIAMI on top of application server, together with bringing a web service layer on top of BIAMI software, so you can call those automation scripts from various third-party systems or your custom code in the system. And that's what we call a BIAMI Enterprise Edition. That's what helps you with building scale-out clusters of a BIAMI software. As you know, BIAMI is a small piece of software that can be run on any device. It's written in Java, and it runs on any platform, starting from Raspberry Pi through any server architecture up to the cloud. Now, some of our customers are using BIAMI as standalone deployments. This is specifically popular in IoT deployments, where we install BIAMI software, individual BIAMI installations that are responsible for handling one specific task, like managing one specific sensor, for example, measure a temperature. Then the other installation is responsible for measuring a noise level, and so on and so on. And there will be a separate BIAMI installations that will do management, audit, and kind of a maintenance tasks. And all of that will be architectured in a way that if one function fails, the rest it will still be up and running, and that's quite popular architecture within IoT deployments for the BIAMI. On the other side, if you want to run a automation process in the cloud, if you want to build your own business process driven platform as a service, this is an example for a cloud deployment architecture. So we recommend you to run X number of the same copy of BIAMI in the cluster with load balancer on top for you to be able to offer high availability as well as have almost unlimited performance within the software. And then you can run various different clusters, or to get a better performance in some geographical areas in some different parts of the world, or have a different clusters to actually perform different automation functions within your platform. Now let's have a look at the BIAMI core and how it actually works. So if you download a BIAMI dev and you execute a BIAMI core, this is an example of a screenshot that you get. So it just lists you all the commands that are available, and you're able to run in the system. Let's have a closer look at them. So there are three major execution commands within BIAMI core software. You execute them with cmd equals and commands, and they are a request. So request is just to a request automation for a specific task or the process. Process is actually to execute that request. So you request automation first, and then you process that request. Now batch is if you would like to request and process a number of iterations of the same automation process at the same time, or one after the other, really. So let's say if you have an automation process to onboard your customer, so load their data into your LDAP system and maybe do a registration in X number of different IT systems, and you want to onboard X number of customers at the same time, then you use batch for that. There are a couple of kind of a special commands in the BIAMI core. Remote, very often bundled with one of the execution commands like request, process, and batch, will let you execute that command on the remote cluster within the BIAMI. Now clean is to clean the data after a successful command were executed. So for instance, if you actually performed X number of automation processes successfully, remember that some log information is being stored in a database, and that database can gain some weight. And what you want to do is you want to keep it as light as possible. So with the clean command, you can actually constantly clean the database to make sure that its size stays as small as possible. There is a command called done, and you use it in instances where you have a human task as a part of your process. So sometimes there is a requirement for human tasks, and you can actually mark them as a done with a done command, and sometimes your automation process can get stuck somewhere as well. And if you investigate it and if you fix it and you want to just mark that part of automation process is done already, you can do that manually as well. Now some of those commands can be combined together. So for instance, you can request and process automation process, or request and execute automation process at the same time. You can also, for example, do a remote batch, so execute X number of iterations of the same automation process on the remote clusters of BIAMI to get a very good performance within your automation platform. Now there are a set of commands that will help you during the design phase when you actually design and test your processes. Help will display information about kind of a manual for for a specific task. The help file should be created every time you create an automation process. That just helps users to understand how your automation processes work. Now the update command downloads all the necessary plugins that you've just introduced into your automation process. So whenever you design a new version or import a new version of your automation process into BIAMI software, it is advised to run updates to download those necessary plugins that you've just introduced into automation process. An import command lets you to import your designed automation process into BIAMI, and remove is to actually remove it from a task repository. Again, some of them can be combined together, so you can use import clean to basically import the processes and remove any unnecessary data in the system. You can do a batch import to import X number of processes at the same time. Now let's have a look at some other commands that we have in the BIAMI core. There are two log modes that you can run within the BIAMI. So you run them with mode equals debug is for displaying all the execution of automation scripts on your screen. So whenever you actually test your automation process after you imported the process into BIAMI and you want to see what is actually happening in the automation process, you can run it with a debug mode to actually see what is happening within the system. Now, if you run a system in a production, you might want to save all the logs not in a database but actually in the file. So you can also launch it with a mode equals log, and that will save all the automation steps into a file instead of a database, and then later on you will be able to maybe combine various logs into your log system. There are a few commands that are available in BIAMI Enterprise Edition only, and those are responsible for that web service layer of the software. So just get task list is just for you to display all the available catalog of automation processes you have, and a SOAP will let you to display data in the SOAP format. So if you want to do if you want to build an API, a data API, as part of your automation, then you can use a SOAP command to that. Now let's have a look at how you actually design automation process within BIAMI and how it works. So you start with designing an automation process in the spreadsheet, and we have some other recordings for that. So have a look at them. So you can go to biami.io/design. You can create your own copy of automation spreadsheet, and then you can start designing your process by putting business task names within a spreadsheet and putting them in the different stages. Now those business tasks later on should be translated into technical tasks, and technical tasks execute a specific scripts, which means they run specific plugins with a specific parameters later on. Now if you're not sure how to actually design the process, at any time in the Google spreadsheet you can add comment with adding plus BIAMI at biami.io, and after that you can ask questions. We will receive that comment from you, and we will be able to assist you with that. So first you do is you design the process, then you import it into the BIAMI core within a BIAMI dev for a testing purposes. So that's how you create a first automated process. Exactly in the same way you create X number of automation process that then later on you import into your BIAMI core. And BIAMI core can be, BIAMI dev if you are in the test phase, or BIAMI Enterprise Edition if you're running it in the production. Now, during the design process, what you can do is you can define various parameters. So you don't want to hard code all the automation elements within the process. You want to create a generic process that then later on you can execute with various parameters. You don't want to store information like various passwords, etc., etc. So you actually use parameters that you can define in the process, and then after you execute the process, if you request automation process A, you can actually request them with a specific context, so with a specific values for a specific parameters in your automation process. So if you request the automation with specific context, you're going to get some sort of results what you would expect. So if you say onboard customer A, it should get all the data related to customer A, and then basically give you a result for onboarding that specific customer. But if you request the same process with a different context, customer B, C, D, etc., it actually should go through the same generic automation process, but gives you different results. And that's how you build how you can receive a different automation actually or answers or results with various different contexts in your automation process. So to give you a little bit more information on what is actually happening within BIAMI software, let's have a look at that. So what you do is you have a web service call for a specific automation task with a specific set of parameters. So let's say the P URL or P password equals something, right? So you do that web service call from external system or your custom code, and you can actually run X number of those requests to the BIAMI core. Now when you do the context parameters, when you do specify parameters, those are exactly the same parameters that you actually put as the parameters in your design spreadsheet. So this is how you can manipulate various different contexts within your automation processes. That's what is happening after that is when you execute that web service call, the BIAMI core saves those requests and creates some specific IDs for that to kind of manage that, and it stores those requests, and it actually doesn't execute them. So you can say that first you want to collect all the requests, and then later on you want to execute them, or you could also combine them together so you can request and process them at the same time. It depends on how you want to execute your automation. So it's only when you actually execute in a core with a command process, then this is when the system starts executing your automation request, and it will it will process the request, the first request, it will run script with some specific context parameters in it. Later on it will execute another request that you've done before with different parameters. And actually what you will see is those execution parameters, those parameters that system executes with, are the parameters that you've asked for during when you were making a web service call. So let's have a look at three different automation modes that you have within BIAMI software. So within a BIAMI core, within an execution engine, you can run it in three modes. You can request automation process as a single individual request. You can do it in a batch mode or in a stream mode. Depends on how your system is architectured and what are your needs. So a single request mode, what it does is just two steps. What we showed you on the previous slide. You request a automation, and then you execute that automation. That's how it works. Now, whenever you actually want to execute X number of iterations of the same automation process, you can do it in the batch system. So very often customers are using one BIAMI cluster just to collect requests for automation processes, but they actually use a different cluster to execute those requests in the batch process. That sometimes helps with optimizing your IT resources within automation, and also make sure that you're able to capture all the requests like all the time, and then later on you're using various different platforms and hardware as well to actually execute those automation processes. Now, if you really want to manage a large number of automation processes, you need a kind of a stream mode. So you need to have a cluster of BIAMI software, of instances of BIAMI software, that give you that web service layer on top of that, and then you can make as many requests as you want, and again you can do the requests and process them. Now, if you just have a simple automation requirement, then yes, what you do is what we showed you on the previous slides. Design a process with a spreadsheet, put the parameters and then request them. Now, some customers require a kind of a dynamic parameters within the software, and we have something that we call a resource manager for BIAMI Enterprise Edition. What it does, it manages your resource life cycle, of the resources. Let's say you're a service provider and you have a pool of IP addresses that you have available for your customers. And if you're onboarding your new customers, you want to make sure that every time you execute the same automation process to launch the service for a customer, you will launch it with a new IP addresses that are available for the customers, and you're not reuse the IP addresses that you've used before. So you can actually load the list of available IP addresses into Resource Manager, and then you can say go take them through a specific lifecycle process. So make them available, make them in use. You can recycle them, or you can make them dead, so not available anymore. And each time you're going to request automation process, you can call a resource manager to actually get those available resources, those IP addresses, for example. Some retail customers use it to actually find a warehouse that has the closest warehouse that has specific products available on the shelf. So if you're running many warehouses, and you have a process to actually deliver the goods to end customer, and you're not sure where you have available products, then you can also store that information in the Resource Manager and ask Resource Manager to give you that information. Now, all the information within automation processes are being logged. As you've seen, there are different ways of logging that information, but it's all available. And what you can do is you can take that information and actually send it to your performance management software. So whenever you run an automation processes, in advanced use, you're able to integrate that with your application performance management systems. You can track KPIs and make sure you meet your SLAs within your automation processes. So that's how BIAMI works, together with kind of explaining the advanced automation modes that we have. if you're interested, there are certain of resources that are available, on the website for you to learn about BIAMI. You can download BIAMI Dev for free and start, designing and testing the process. You can create your own, and you can design your own automation processes. We have a website that where you can actually learn about, BIAMI quite a lot, and and we have we're running set of webinars, as well as we have available resources with recorded webinars from the past. Now, if you just want to get a help, request demo, proof of concept, or you're thinking of delivering actually implementation services on top of BIAMI, or you'd like to embed automation framework within your software or solutions, and you want to partner with us, please get in touch. Now, what we want to do now is we want to go to the second part of our webinar, where we want to show you a demo of BIAMI software. This is actually a demo that we've prepared as a proof of concept for a specific customer. So our customer, was a service provider for, on the market. I cannot share all the details here, but a simple structure. They had a sales team, managed by VP of sales. They have X number of sales people that were managing various customers. Now, the problems they had was they were running a Salesforce as their CRM, and they were storing all the information about the available contracts in their Salesforce system. They had a specific types of contracts that are support contracts that had to be renewed, every year. So they had the requirement to run, a set number of reports within their IT. So VP of sales, you always wanted to know, like, what is the list of all the renewals that we need to do. Individual people wanted to have their own renewals, and of course they wanted to send a customer notifications about contract renewals to their customers. Now, the way they were handling all of that was the VP and individual salespeople reports were stored in the Salesforce, and all the custom notification reports were created as a custom development. Salesforce doesn't really have that function in it. You need to code it externally and make those notifications send them outside of the system. There were pros and cons of that solution. So for all renewals report, it was very easy to build action schedules within Salesforce itself. But one of the difficulties they had is if somebody else from the management team wanted to actually see those reports, it always required a kind of a manual task to actually share the specific reports with others. Or if there was a new manager coming into organization and they wanted to see those reports, again there was a manual process of kind of getting them rights to those reports. The individual reports for the salespeople were stored in Salesforce as well, and they've even created a template that was easy to then later on build and schedule reports for all the individual sales people. But it was quite difficult to manage because every time somebody like joined a sales team or actually left the sales team, there were again manual tasks include that people had to do, like copy the templates of the reports, schedule them and then remove them, etc. And whenever you have a manual task, there is also a possibility to make some errors. And with customer notification reports, it was even more difficult. So it's not only that was like expensive and difficult to build, but then also maintain and manage over the time it just required a separate team just to take care of that. So we've decided to automate these processes with the BIAMI. The customer came to us and we came and we said, no problem, we're going to automate, that, with simple three processes actually. So we're gonna take those data from a Salesforce, put it into BIAMI, create a report, and then send it to, whoever should receive. So really simple, if you think of the automation process, simple three steps like, get the data, create the reports and email them to a specific person, and that's what we've done. So we actually fixed the problems that, it was easy to build and easy to actually, schedule those automation processes. And we also brought, a one specific kind of a way of, managing that, all of those reports. So, it was very easy to request those reports at any part of the time, and and also, if the sales team was growing, or it was kind of automatically scheduled a new custom reports for new people in the team, and it's the same with the customers. Every time they were getting a new customers, all the notification process was fully automated. Customer told us that after that, proof of concept, and it took us only actually 2 weeks to deliver that proof of concept, we saved 10% of their sales time. So, before, the salespeople had to, spend some time actually running those reports, and then, looking at them and managing and maybe running some custom reports, etc. And also they saw an increase in, in auto renewals from the customers. So whenever we started to send, a custom notification to the customers and make them those emails like nicer and nicer, they actually saw the increase in, customers coming back to them and renewing those contracts automatically. So that's what we've done. We want to spend a little bit of time to actually show you the system and show you what we've done. So let's go to a demo part, and let's show you the software. So to start designing the process, what I'm going to do is I'm going to go to BIAMI.io website. On our home page, under the tutorial, there is a link for you to create your own, Google spreadsheet and start designing the automation process. You could click on that, or you can go straight to design URL, and it will do the same. It will ask you to create a copy of our template for you to start, designing automation processes. So we're gonna automate those. Show you how we automated those monthly renewals. So what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna change the name to monthly renewals. And we can start, designing the process. Now, as you can see, there are, four columns in the template. Stage to tells you, at what stage, the automation process should be executed. There's a business task name, and there's a technical task name, and then there is a script so responsible for the automation plugins that you will execute at the specific tasks. So the stage 0 is a special one where you just type, some specifics around, the names and links to your project. So for your business name, you just put a name of the project again. So let's call it monthly renewals. For a technical task name, if you would like to import those spreadsheets automatically into BIAMI, you can put a link to its TSV version of the file, so tab separated values file. So for you to do it in Google Spreadsheet, you click on the share, you get a shareable link, you just copy and paste it, Now that link is not it's just a link to a spreadsheet. It's not to a TSV version of that spreadsheet. So what you just need to do, you need to change the end of that link to point to the export to the TSV format of the file. That's what you do in a script for stage 0. We recommend actually not to do anything. You could, but a good practice is not to do it. So when we went to a customer and we wanted to automate those processes, the customer said, well, there's simple couple of steps that you want to do. We want to retrieve a data from the Salesforce. They're using a Salesforce for CRM, and then they want to retrieve a data about the opportunity owners from the Salesforce. So actually what you do is you just like put those names in a business tasks, right? So retrieve sales from a Salesforce and retrieve opportunity owners. Now what they really wanted to do then, they wanted to like match those data with against customer emails and the owner emails. So as the next steps, we're going to do exactly that. And then what they wanted to do is they wanted to send reminders to a VP of sales, a sales team, and the customers. And we're going to do exactly the same. And what they said was okay, we would like to just run it all as a fully automated process. So if you think of translating those business tasks into technical execution, there are retrieving sales data from a Salesforce is just a Salesforce data export kind of the exercise. So we're going to do the same to retrieve the other data. The kind of match sales against the one set of data against other set of data. It's always a kind of a data lookup. So just look up the same, and we're gonna just just send emails, right? Mails, right? So that's kind of a simple technical tasks name. Now, if you want to start actually finding a script and plugins responsible for that, you just go to scripts, you open that and put a Salesforce, and there is a Salesforce export plugin that will show you various different data that you need to pass together with that. So you imagine you're going to do the same with that. Now if you're a beginner and if you're just beginning to kind of start designing this process, sometimes you don't know actually what to do. So remember, each time if you don't know and if you need help, what you can do, you can add a comment and ask for help. So there is in Google Spreadsheet there's a link to insert comment. So I'm going to click insert comment. I'm going to actually ask BIAMI to help me. So what I'm going to do is I just put +BIAMI@BIAMI.io, and then I'm going to just ask it, please recommend. So it will ask you to share that document with us. Just please share, and what happens now, we'll actually receive an email with that question from you, and we'll be able to help you. But let's go back to setting up our Salesforce exports. So as you can see, you can put the API endpoint URLs, username, password, what modules do you want to use from Salesforce, and there's account, opportunities, and more. and user, what what files you want to save those data into, and what sort of query you want to do in those APIs. So we're going to go ahead and we're gonna fill it in with with some data. So the endpoint for a Salesforce API. For our Salesforce, we use a specific username for our API. Now, for the password, you don't really want to save the passwords in the processes. So actually, what you do is you create a kind of you create a parameter within the process. So I'm gonna do password equals, and you put a parameters in triple pipes. So actually you do triple pipes, open it, and you do, I'm going to call it p underscore password. So we know that this is a parameter called password. Password, and then you close it. And always after you create a new parameter, you should also add it at the end of the process, and you just put like p as parameters, then the name of the parameters. So p underscore password, and you could also put a kind of a default value for that, but we don't want to do it. We want to have always the custom passwords. Now, what module you want to do is, and for us to retrieve the data, we're going to retrieve the opportunity data. So module opportunity. What file we want to save it to? So we're going to save it to actually a file name. File name. We're gonna save actually that temporary files that we have within the core. So there is a couple of system parameters that exist within BIAMI. One of them is a dir parameter. Dir always gives you a folder directory for your installation of the BIAMI, and we want to save it in the temp folder, and we're going to say that it's going to be called opportunity.tsv. All the data within the BIAMI we always recommend to save as the TSV files, because then we have as easy mechanisms to actually work on those data sets. And we want to download actually some specific opportunities. So what we want to do is we want to query opportunities that are for renewal, so they need to be closed won as a status, as well as they need to have a special name within the Salesforce. So they're going to be called the SLAs type of opportunities. So what I'm going to do here is I'm just going to put stage name equals closed won, and the name of the opportunity equals it includes SLA. Maybe what I can do is I can actually show you. Just a moment. If you check out the opportunities, within the Salesforce, so there's a list of opportunities, but not all of them should, support opportunities. Only the ones that has, the SLA name in it, and they're also, assigned to a specific salesperson. So that's the export for first opportunity. Now we want to retrieve some data for around the user. So what we're gonna do is we're just gonna fill it in with, again, a user data, the password the same. The module will be user because we're retrieving the data for users, and we're gonna save it in the user TSV file, and we actually are gonna collect all the users that we have. So we're not gonna do any special query for that. In terms of the URL, it will be exactly the same URL. So if you have situations like that, and also you need to remember that sometimes the URL can change as well. So again, you could also create a parameter for that specific name. So you could say URL equals, and we're going to create a new parameter called URL. We're going to put 3 pipes, right? It's going to be exactly the same. So we just need to create a new parameter PURL, and the default value for the parameter, we're going to put the URL of the Salesforce. So this is how you start creating your and designing your automation process. Now I want to show you actually how then later on you import it into a BIAMI dev software. So you can download BIAMI dev for free at biami.io/download, and start testing your applications. So what I have here is I have the BIAMI dev installed. I will execute a core. This is a fresh installation, so it will ask you for the email address. It will download the first initial data that are required for your BIAMI dev, and it takes a few seconds, but it has downloaded all the data now. So as you can see, what it says, updated, the system's got updated, it has nothing to do, but you can do a set of commands that we were actually talking about during the webinar, and we're showing you the slides. So what we want to do is we want to start saying we want to import our process. So what we're going to do is there is a command here to import, and we can import it. Okay, now when we're actually importing it directly as a TSV file, and for the first time what we need to do is we need to add a script URL for it. So we're going to add a script equals, and we will copy and paste our link to the parameter TSV. So if we do that, and we're going to import the process, but you can see that now on the task list, we have new monthly renewals process added. And if we would like to see actually how it works, then what we can do is we can request and process it. So again, if you see how to do request, but we're gonna request, process it at the same time. We need to specify the password, right? So what we're gonna do is we're gonna specify password. For us, this is in the Salesforce is a password together with your security token. So we're going to add that, and we also want to see what is happening within the system. So we want to run it in the debug mode. So I'm just adding a debug mode, and yes, if I execute that, I forgot to ask, what task we can do. So, we actually requesting, we need to, request a specific task. So we can do task ID equals, monthly renewals, right? It was 7. This is the task ID for our monthly renewal process. And now if we launch it, we'll see that actually what it went through, it just went through stage 0 and stage 1, and they didn't do anything, because actually what we didn't do is we didn't specify stages for the rest. But that's how you build, the systems. And if you can see, what it should do is, here's all the folders for BIAMI dev. There's a temp folder, and what it did, it created that opportunity TSV file with all the opportunities that we had from the Salesforce. So if I share that file with you here, you will see that those are all the opportunities that are closed one with the SLA name in it. Right. Now let's go back to our process. Oh, actually, it has changed now a little bit. So our team at BIAMI has just copied a copy of the process that we've done for the customer. So as you can see, we do sales for export. We have we create just a lookup file for us to then execute the lookups against the different sets of data. So we actually execute 2 lookups. Then we just added a formatting email data to create those email messages, and then we send emails to the VP. Now for the sales team and customers, because we're executing more than one email send, we don't know really how many. We actually have created separate processes for it. So one is for a sales team report. So what it does is just filters data for a specific employee, prepares an email, does some formatting, and sends that email. And we will actually execute this. And for customer in a similar way, just prepare email, send email, and clean data, the temporary files that we're creating during the process. So as you can see, when we execute the sales teams reports and customer reports, what we use is we use a remote batch command. So for the remote batch command, what it does, it will just execute automated reporting against all the sales teams users, all the customers we've selected before, and we'll actually run it a number of times. So all these processes we will make available on our GitHub. So if you would like to know more, just Google for BIAMI GitHub, and you will be able to find those files there. Now I want to go back to our BIAMI dev, and you actually import that new process again. So I'm gonna just run the core again with the import, and now I don't need to put the URL again. So I can actually, we have it set in the process already. So what I can do is I can say that I will just import and task, a new version of a task ID equals 7, and then we're gonna have that new process imported, new version of the same process imported. Now I could request and process it exactly in the same way as I did. So I could do it that way. Now that will request task ID, But if you would like to always request the most recent version, then what you could do is you could just request, a task, put a task name, and until all the new versions of the processes will have the same name, systems will always pick up the most recent version. So if you update your automated processes and you want to introduce a new version of a process without downtime, this is actually how you do it. So what we're having here now is we have the monthly renewals process, and we're also running a separate BIAMI EE installation locally with those two automation processes installed. This is you need to have, when you call out external processes, you need the BIAMI Enterprise Edition for that. BIAMI Dev will let you to process only one automation at a time. So if you want to actually connect a couple of processes together, then you need to have a separate installation for that. So what I'm going to do now is I will just execute the automation for you. As you can see, in stage 1, we're getting the data. In stage 2, we're getting additional data. We're doing the formatting. We're sending in emails to a VP, right? So yeah, that is what is happening now, and we've got an error here. And as you can see, it's a live demo, so sometimes it happens. Now a quick look at it is we've created we're calling a local host repository, but actually we don't have a local host repository attached to our environment. So if you take a look, we have just BIAMI remote repository. So if we go to our folders, in a repo folder, you store all the repositories that you want to connect to. So what you do is I'm going to copy that file and I will rename it to localhost. That's where we're gonna we're gonna point to our localhost BIAMI installation. So we're running it on localhost. It's a text file. You can edit it on the port 8080, and the version of the software is 0.8. Okay, so we're just going to do that. And now if we run just a new BIAMI dev, you will see that a new repository is mounted to our system, with those 2 additional reports that we needed. So if we're going to run it and request the process now, let's see what happens. Again, collecting the data from a Salesforce, do formatting, sending email to VP, and yeah, it takes a bit of time just to connect to the systems, external systems. And now what happens is we're executing that remote batch, for localhost, so BIAMI Enterprise is running on localhost, and we're actually sending sending emails, to first, all the sales team people, and then later on, to the customers, right? So while it's doing that, what we can do is, we can have a quick look at, the mailboxes that we're using, and we've created some special mailboxes for that. So if we go to a VP email boxes, we have one that was sent 7 minutes ago. That's the one that later on failed, and then just now. And if we open them, yes, you have a report with all the opportunities that you need to renew, right? If we go to a sales team mailboxes, so we will see that there is an email that came just a minute ago, and you can see that those are all renewals for that specific salesperson. So only her own opportunities are here. We have another salesperson called Josh for that demo environment. So if we open his email address, again, email came 2 minutes ago, and you can see two renewals that belong to him. If we go to BIAMI Dev, we can see that it's all executed. So we should see also the customer emails, and we have created some customer emails here, and we can see that there are emails that are coming to the customers, and there is a customer too as well. Yeah, they're all receiving the emails, right? To contact their sales representatives for the renewals. So that is the process that we've created. The next natural steps would be after successful testing, you would actually migrate those tasks to enterprise and BIAMI Enterprise Edition, so you can actually call those automated tasks with the web services, and you can do that we on our GitHub repository. So like I mentioned, GitHub repository, we have a process that we call BIAMI Dev 2E, and this is the process that you can actually download and move your process automatically from a BIAMI Dev into BIAMI Enterprise Edition. And that's all what we wanted to show you in that demo. So let's have a look if there are any questions. So there is a question about what systems can you connect to with BIAMI. So as you've seen, the way it works is the automation tasks execute specific plugins, and we have almost 100 plugins ready at the moment. Like every week we're adding new plugins, and we can connect to most of the existing databases and cloud platforms, file systems as well. And we have a policy where we're able to extend those plugins, and you can write your own plugins to extend BIAMI functionalities as well. But we guarantee that when we run a proof of concept and there are plugins missing, we will actually delivering them, the new plugin within 2 working business days. So whenever the plugin is missing, you can come to us, request for the plugin, and we will actually point you to the resources, so you can develop those plugins, or if you want us to do it, like we can do it and deliver that within 2 days as well. So possibilities are almost limitless, and we'll do our best to always deliver all the plugins. Our implementation partners are also pretty good in creating additional plugins for you as well. Okay, so that is all we wanted to talk about today. So thank you very much for your attention. I hope you liked it, and yes, please get in touch with us if you have any questions. Download BIAMI for free, start designing your processes and learn how to use it, please attend our webinars, and feel free to get in touch if you want to get some more help, some demos, proof of concept, or see partner opportunities. Again, thank you very much, and have a good rest of the day. Bye.